right, so we are going to take a look at virtual area and perimeter and then go into looking at a little bit of volume. So to do that, I have found this really cool little way that I can build some rectangular prisms, and we can look at that. So I am going to start for you just by simply making us a nice rectangular prism. So let me start right down here. So I want to make my length of my rectangular prism. What is that? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I want to make my width of my prism. Let's just make it 5. Okay. So 9 and then 5. I am going to go ahead and fill in. Well, actually, instead of filling in, let me back up. I am going to go around and make the outside of my prism, rectangular prism, by making the distance around it, which we would call what? Can someone give me the vocabulary word that we would name that? What did I make that actually? Did I make that a different? So it is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my length is 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is, remember, perimeter is the distance around the shape. If I were to go and walk all the way around it, what would I have to do? I would be walking the perimeter of it. The formula to find that is simply you can add up all the sides around it. Okay, you can add up the distance around it. So it would be 10 plus what? 5 plus 10 plus 5. Or I could use the formula perimeter equals 2 times the length, because there's 2 lengths, plus 2 times the width, because there's 2 widths. So, well, 2 times 10 is 20, plus 5 times 2 is 10. So the distance around my shape right here should be 30. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and fill on the inside. What am I finding if I am covering the inside of my rectangular prism or rectangle? I am going to solve for area. The inside of that shape is area. And there is a different formula you need to be remembering from yesterday that gives me the area. Okay, so area, we're talking about the area the surface covers. So I'm going to change those. The area, what we're talking about is this right here. So it is your length of your shape times the width. So length times width, when you multiply those two, it's going to give you what it takes to cover this entire shape. So 10 times 5 tells me that I should have 50 of those square units, because area is square units, 50 square units to cover this. So let's check ourselves in just a second. Finish finding my area there, coloring those in. So I'm telling you it should take 50 to cover that. Well, let's go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And that's exactly right. Area equals length times width, which is 10 times the 5. Okay. I'm going to change the color for this perimeter, just so you remember that you are talking about the distance around my figure. So this length plus this length back here that you can't see, plus this, or that width that you can't see, plus this length that you can't see, plus this width. So the distance walking around the outside of it, okay? So that's going to give us perimeter. Beyond area and perimeter, let's talk about volume. What if I was able to take some other shapes and add it to, and make this a three-dimensional box? I'm putting, let me erase that one. I am putting walls, per se, to my I'm adding on some walls to my rectangular prism. And to do that, I'm adding layers, okay? Layers are going on this. So those layers are what's making it three-dimensional. Keep clicking in the wrong spot there. Three-dimensional. And I could keep clicking until I filled this up, which may take a little while. Or I could use what? Does anybody know what I could use to solve how many of these squares I would need to make this three-dimensional? Well, there's a formula. I know that to find the area, the bottom of it, right, I had to do length times width. Well, here's the neat thing. I can find the volume simply by taking whatever height that I assigned to it, taking the length times the width, and then multiplying it by whatever height I decided was how tall my figure was. So I'm going to use this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's not letting me go up? Oh, 4. It's going to let me go up 4 high. 4 more. So what is, and again, I can keep filling in these, and it's going to fill in my box to make it three-dimensional. And I can just keep filling it in. And as I'm filling it in, it's taking one square every time I add on to that layer. Okay? I can keep filling those in. I could even fill them in and count how many cubic squares it's going to take. That would take a long time. Or I could trust the math, and I could do, you know what? I need this length right here times my width times my height. So I'm going to change those colors so we can see that. My length, I'm going to keep that color, times my width, then multiply that by my height, how many layers it has. And if I do that, well, 10 times 5 is 50. And 50 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 50 times 5 is going to give me what? 50 times 5. How many squares would I need to fill in this whole box and keep making a box? Well, I would need 250 of them. And Miss Webster's not going to keep clicking 250 boxes for you. But I hope that this definitely helped you visualize what you would be doing. You would just keep stacking those little cubes in there, and it would take 250 of them to fill in this entire rectangular prism to make it look like a full box. Like you could dump all those little squares in. Okay? So again, I'm not going to keep clicking all those, but I really wanted you to understand volume. Let me take those away, make it, I over-clicked one. So again, to make this truly become a rectangular prism with volume, just click those in real quick. Then I would do length times width times height. I definitely want y'all to see this kind of completed, just because it does look really cool how we can kind of finish that out. It's not cooperating with me. So let me go back. Okay. So length times width times height. I can take that one funky one up here away. And I could have kept going back. But again, that is volume. It is creating that shape with volume. Length times width times height. And so these are called cubic squares because they make an actual cube. Do you see that this makes an actual cube? When we plug it in, that's an actual cube. And not just a square. So when we did area, I'm going to refresh this so it clears the screen. When we did area, when we did just the bottom, then that was giving us square units. So just this one side, when we're talking about just this, that's square units. But when we are talking about the actual whole thing, that is a cubic unit, and that's how we get volume. Okay? So from this video, I do want you to move on to video 2 for today, which is going to go into your math log. We already have some of our vocabulary. We're going to add a few more. Then you are going to make your volume foldable, and then you are going to get onto your Try Me. All right. Thank you.